Hi, everybody. Welcome to this month's current patient webinar. I am Angela, and I'm here with our one and only Dr. Michael Green, and we are here to help you today. And I'm going to let Dr. Green take away his intro and anything else he wants to share before we get started.
All right. So first, if you have questions, start typing them in now, because the whole point here is to answer your questions. My name is Mike Green. I'm an OBGYN. I'm also the Chief Medical Officer of Winona. And as you can see, I'm sitting in my car. So funny story, I wear more than one hat. So besides being your doctor online and helping to run Winona, one of the things that I do is I train other doctors and providers on how to use a birth control device called Nexplanon. So I was doing a training today and I realized there was no way I was going to get home on time. So I booked a hotel room so I could do this webinar. And then I messed up and booked it for the wrong day and they wouldn't give me a room. So I decided, well, I'll just pull over. But it's looking at the thermometer, 102 degrees. So I've got my car running with the air conditioning on. So I'm tethered to my phone on my laptop in my car running with the air conditioning on. So I apologize if the sound quality is not the usual what it usually should be, but here we are to answer your questions. Do we have any questions yet?
Not yet, but that's devotion, because honestly, in that heat in your car is everybody. This is the CMO. This is it. No, but this is true devotion. What a dedicated doctor to take a webinar in your car in the heat. So thank you for that.
So while we're waiting on questions, I guess, so there's been a couple interesting things in the news. Actually, someone asked me this question in a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and I actually answered based on the wrong article. There were two articles that came out basically in the same week that both made huge headlines about dementia, which was really kind of interesting. One article said that women that go through menopause earlier have a higher risk of dementia down the line. However, if they start hormone replacement therapy earlier, that helped modify or decrease that risk. And so in that study, one of the risk factors for dementia was early onset menopause, but one of the ways to decrease that risk was to start HRT early. And basically one of the things that came out of that was that a lot of doctors don't recognize the menopause transition when it comes early because they think, oh, you're too young for that. But some women, 1 out of 6 women complete menopause by the age of 45. And so symptoms start 7 to 10 years before that. So you could certainly be in your mid to late 30s and have menopause symptoms. But most people, patients and doctors alike, will ignore that because it's, quote, too young, which it actually isn't. And what the study found was that if you delayed treatment, if you delayed hormone replacement therapy, you lost that beneficial effect or some of that beneficial effect to dementia. It was a very interesting study, actually. A couple of days later, there was a second study that came out, completely different study, that said that women that had ever had hormone replacement therapy, even if they only had it for one day, had an increased risk of Alzheimer's. And so that kind of stole most of the headlines, actually. But if you really read the study and you read the authors of the study and what they said about it, is they didn't think it was a hormone replacement therapy that was causing the increased risk of dementia. They thought that was just sort of a marker for more severe menopause. And so it kind of played into this other idea that women that had earlier menopause or more severe menopause may be at higher risk of dementia. And that the fact that because they said, look, if this was from the HRT, we would expect people that were on a lot of HRT or HRT for a long time to have a higher risk than people that were on it for one day. And so they thought that was more of a marker of the severity of the menopause symptoms. And so when you look at both studies in conjunction, that kind of is what the picture looks like, is that women that go through menopause earlier probably have a higher risk of dementia, and that HRT is probably beneficial to decrease that risk. A lot of studies have come out really showing some decreased risk of dementia with HRT, but it was really interesting to have these two studies come out of really within days. So anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing that's been in the news lately. Any questions now, or do I need to come up with more?
We do have a question. Yes. Crystal wants to know if she needs to rotate the site that she applies her cream, or should she use it in the same place every day?
Most women use the cream in the same place every day. And that's generally in the inside of the arm. It's like my camera just shut off. And they will put, actually an easy way to do it is just put the pump right on the inside of the wrist and then just rub the wrist together. And that's probably, the way most people do it, or kind of a clever, nice way to do it. And so you can always do it in the same spot that way. Every now and then, women, a patient will develop a little sensitivity to the cream, and in that case, rotating the cream seems to help. So if you're finding you're getting some skin irritation, then try putting the cream on different places. So the inside of the arm, you can go one arm one day, one arm the other. You can do the wrist. You can do the inside of the upper thigh. You can do the back of the knees. You can do one side or the other, and you can rotate the sites this way if you start developing some skin sensitivity. But I think most people use it really in the same spot every day, and for the most part, that seems to work fine. And it's totally reasonable to do it that way if you don't develop a problem.
I think, Crystal says she's going to keep asking questions. Her body composition has been changing in a negative direction, body fat increasing and muscle decreasing. And she's only been on the cream for a month or so. Is it normal?
So that is a very typical symptom of the menopause transition. The hormone replacement therapy can help that because part of the problem as women go through this transition is that the hormones that are made in the ovaries, estrogen in particular, and also a little bit of testosterone, and to probably a lesser extent progesterone, all can decrease the body's ability to make more muscle, and also change the way fat is distributed. And really the fat tends to get distributed more in the central areas. And it sounds like that's what you're experiencing. Hormone replacement therapy can help reverse that trend because it can get your hormones back to where they were before the ovaries started decreasing less hormone through the transition. So this is one of these things, though, that takes a long time. So, for instance, hot flashes, for some women, they have really bad hot flashes. They start the HRT. That's a quick win for a lot of women. Not everybody, but for some women, boy, within days or weeks, the hot flashes are gone. This change in weight distribution and muscle mass really is a long-term thing, and it's almost not noticeable for a while. It can take 3 or 4 months before you really start noticing it, and then it's a slow, steady improvement over time. So I wouldn't really expect you to have any noticeable benefits in a month, and maybe some subtle benefits in 3 months. But if you stick with it, you get this slow, steady improvement, and your body shape and your muscle mass starts changing back to the way it was when you're younger.
Okay, she would like to know if it's normal to feel bloated at the beginning of treatment.
So this is also one of the common early side effects that some people experience. Not everybody, but some people do. And I think there's several reasons this can happen. One is that estrogen can slow what's called gastric emptying or intestinal motility. It can slow down the intestines. One of the reasons that women sometimes get nausea in pregnancy. And so that can cause more gas to build up and cause that bloating. As the big issue really has to do with change of levels rather than the actual levels. So when you first start using the medication, the body is seeing this increase in estrogen levels, which is what we're after, but we're really after a steady state, a nice steady dose. And so at the beginning of treatment, you sometimes see these side effects from this change. Body doesn't like change. And then once that kind of steadies out and the dose becomes steady, and the body adjusts to that, the bloating and those side effects should go away. Sometimes the bloating is more because of water retention, or sometimes it's a combination of both. In that case, it will also go away, but an over-the-counter diuretic can sometimes help if it's a water retention issue. If it seems more of a gas issue, there's simethicone. Gas X is one of the brand names that can sometimes be helpful. Or sometimes constipation can happen, particularly at the beginning of treatment. And then stool softener or mild laxative like Miralax can also help with that. So those are all ways to feel better while you're waiting for your body to adjust to the hormones and for the bloating to go away.
I have a question, Dr. Green. My question is about vaginal estrogen cream. And the question is, so when like the skin on your body overall as you age loses elasticity, so that's why all these women are taking collagen and other things to help, help make that better. So when you're using vaginal estrogen cream and the tissue in the vagina is thinning, is it also working in a similar way to sort of help bring back elasticity, or is it just making it less painful because the tissue's thin?
So it does help bring back elasticity, and it helps thicken the vaginal mucosa, the lining of the vagina, to make it thicker, more elastic. It helps. Hey, Dr. Cat.
It's car edition.
We're both in our cars.
It's Winona on the road, you guys. Winona on the road.
I know, right?
I don't know if you ever watched Seinfeld's comedian Cars getting coffee.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, we just need some coffee. It's doctors and cars getting coffee.
That's it.
There we go.
So
awesome. I was talking about vaginal estrogen cream and how it helps increase the. Oh, you're on your phone. I couldn't get my phone to work, so I had to pull over and pull my laptop out.
I don't have my laptop with me, so I had to do a lot of really creative figuring out on my phone to finally make it work. So I apologize for the technical difficulties making me late.
That's okay. You're here, and it's amazing that you're both in your car. I was just like, that's amazing, you guys. So happy. That's good.
No matter where we are, we're making time for our Winona patients, right?
I was just saying, who else? Dr. Green is in his car, you're driving, and you're still taking patient questions. Come on. Pretty good.
So the vaginal estrogen cream does increase the health of the vaginal tissues. I think it increases the glands so that you have more natural, normal discharge. It also helps increase the elasticity, and it thickens the tissues. So that does a lot of things for you. It helps your normal vaginal secretions, so you don't have that dryness. It makes the tissues, as estrogen gets low, gets really thin, and you can even have tears because it gets so thin. And this thickens it up and makes it healthier. It also increases the elasticity. The other thing that does for you is it helps support the bladder and the urethra. So that can help with urinary problems like leaking or the urge to urinate all the time. It can also decrease urinary infections. So you get a lot of bang for your buck out of the vaginal estrogen cream. The systemic, the normal, the body cream or the pills or the patches also help vaginal tissues. It's not going to help as much as the topical, putting that estrogen right on the vagina. But for some women, that's enough. But for some, they really need to add the vaginal cream if they're really suffering from vaginal symptoms. So it can be a really good, helpful adjuvant to the systemic treatment. The problem with the vaginal estrogen cream is it doesn't really get absorbed much. So it's not going to do much for your more systemic system, your symptoms like your hot flashes and your brain fog and that kind of thing. So you really kind of need to use both.
Mm-hmm. And does it stay, if you're using it regularly, if you stop using it, does it immediately go back to a less elastic state, or does it have a lasting, does it last?
Well, I feel like it took time for those changes to happen in menopause. It's not gonna happen overnight that suddenly everything reverses. If you stop using it, you'll still have some of that benefit that you built up from using it, but over time, as the estrogen kind of gets lost from those tissues again, you'll start to have those changes again.
Got it. Okay, well, that's good. I just threw in a question while we were waiting for more questions. Crystal, who is getting a private tutorial today at Winona, has another question. She would like to, let's see, what did she say? She wants to know, she stopped taking oral contraceptives because she was getting constant migraines with aura, and she's guessing a transdermal route is safer for her, but she wants to know if she should be concerned if she gets more migraines on the treatment plan than she does off of any hormone treatment plan.
Say that again. She's concerned if she gets more migraines on the treatment plan?
then off. Yeah.
So, Crystal, have you been getting more, or are you just worried you will get more? Because I know you're only in your first month of treatment. I can tell you that migraines with aura is not a reason. It's not what's called a contraindication to hormone replacement therapy, not like birth control pills. My wife has migraines with aura, and she's on HRT. So I put my money where my mouth is, so to speak. And for a lot of people, particularly if the migraines tend to be cyclical and are worse, like, a lot of women will get migraines right at the beginning of their period or just before their period. Hormone replacement therapy can help sort of even out the dips and the rises in hormones, and can actually help migraines for some people. So it really, for most people, shouldn't make it worse, and for some people, it makes it better. And generally, yeah.
I was going to say, with the transdermal, sometimes, especially with a patch, having that steady state of hormone can help these patients a lot, because it is that roller coaster of the hormone release that sometimes triggers their migraines, right?
Right, exactly. And people experience that because, a lot of people will get migraines like right at the start of their period, right when the hormones change. Or I know my wife really suffered badly with migraines, particularly in the second trimester of pregnancy, when the hormones are really ramping up. And so those hormone changes can really trigger migraines for some women. And so HRT, in helping to level out and taking away some of those extremes, can help for some people.
Just letting people know that they can continue to add their questions. We do have more people here, but they are not asking questions.
Maybe they need to get in their car and then ask questions.
That's it. Everyone's just going to drive around and ask questions in their car. Oh my gosh. We have somebody else asking a question. This is good. Dr. Brown, where are you? In your car.
That's the question?
Yeah, no, I'm asking. No, not where. Like, no one's asking in the chat. I'm just saying, where are you?
I'm heading to New Hope, Pennsylvania. My new husband has a gig there tonight that I'm his official PR person, recording him.
All right, look at you.
I know. It's funny because last night he had a jam session, and I went with a friend of mine, and I was recording, and she said, "Well, you should go Instagram Live," and I was like, "How do you do that?" I had no idea. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, you're getting very tech savvy, because I hear, as you shared, that you started your own Winona /Cat, Dr. Cat Instagram, right?
Started it. Yeah. I don't have a lot of stuff on there just yet, but I use my lovely new headshot that Winona did for us. And so I have a new professional account on there so that I can share some of our Winona stuff and some of the podcast things and some of the clips that I have.
Nice.
Cool.
What's your Instagram? Dr. Green, do you have a personal one?
No.
You share it? No. Dr. Kat, what's your Instagram handle? I'm going to put it in the chat.
I wish I knew it by heart.
Wait, let me check. I'll put it in. I'll look on my phone. Hold on.
I want to say it's Dr. Kat OBGYN or something like that.
All right, I'll look and I'll put it in the chat. Okay, we have a question. Ree says, "Hi team. I received my order today and I will start tomorrow. I joined to listen in and learn. Is there any benefit to doing one treatment at a time for a week and add others to understand the effects? I'm doing the estrogen patch, progesterone, and DHEA pills, and thank you for being so available."
I've had patients do it both ways. I mean, number one, you should take your estrogen and progesterone together. I wouldn't start one without the other. But I have had patients that want to start their estrogen and progesterone at first and then add in the DHEA later. But there's really no science to say that there's any benefit to staggering them like that. I guess some patients just like to know when they're starting a new medication, if they're monitoring for side effects, or just seeing how their body responds, they want to do one at a time. So, I let patients kind of choose. That's kind of their prerogative if they want to do that. But there's no harm in starting them all at once. We prescribe the DHEA as supplementary to the HRT, and I think they work very well together. And so, I like for patients to start them all together if possible. But but it's really up to you. You know your body best. You know your body better than we do. And so if you've had issues with starting meds in the past and you want to do it staggered, that's totally fine too. Just make sure you let your Winona doctor know like what you're doing and what your plan is.
Then again, the sooner you start, the sooner you feel better. So that's, to me, it's
right.
Like, yeah. I think if it was sitting in my cupboard, I'd have a hard time not wanting to start it and getting benefits.
I know. I always
I've had patients say that they want to do that so they know if they have a side effect where it's coming from. But honestly, we can generally tell if you're having a side effect, what's causing it. So it's not really helpful for us. If there's a problem, we usually can figure out where it's coming from. But there's certainly no harm in it if that makes you feel more comfortable.
I know some people will always say too, like, I have my products and I'm afraid to start. I'm always like, wait, what? What? You ordered it. Why are you afraid to start it?
I had one this morning. She had her 10-week follow-up and she said, well, I haven't started. I'm afraid. I'm like, you should have asked me. I could help,
Right.
So if you have,
gone by and she hadn't tried them yet.
So yeah, if you start having concerns or questions or you're scared, give your Winona doctor, give us a chance to help educate you and try and address whatever your concerns or worries are. We're here to help, not just online, and not just in our car, but also online.
Crystal is telling us that she highly recommends, and I love hearing this, our menopause tracker that we provide at Winona, which I will put a link for that in the chat as well if you don't have it, because it's helping her see that her symptoms are getting better day by day. Oh, and Dawn is here. Hi, Dawn. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Dawn.
Okay, we have another question. Julie says she's on 6 weeks in on the combo cream, 2 pumps, and she feels like maybe 2 pumps is too much, and she wants to know if she should try 1, but will that be not enough?
Well, I mean, I think that my first question, if I were your Winona doctor, if you messaged me this question, I would ask you why you think it's too much. What are you feeling? What symptoms are you experiencing that make you think that it's too much hormone? And then I will talk through that with you. I mean, I have had patients that go down to the 1 pump, and it's a very small dose. Depending on the concentration of your combined cream that you're using, it can be a pretty small dose if you're only doing 1 pump. But for some patients, that may work best for them. But I think that you want to definitely talk that through with your doc that you're working with.
The other thing I would add is that the combination cream are put in certain ratios, and those ratios change with the concentration of estrogen. And so, for instance, if you're on the 5-200 and you drop down to 1 pump, that's safe for the short term, but it's really not enough progesterone for long-term use. So it's a reasonable thing to do if you want to see, hey, how will I feel on a lower dose? And if that works, then when it's time for a refill, we'd probably want to drop you down to a lower dose, but with a different ratio to give you enough progesterone to protect your uterine lining. So there's a little bit more to it than just cutting it in half, which again is safe for the short-term use, but you wouldn't want to be on that for like a very long time. On the other hand, the 3-150, 1 pump is probably okay. So the different ratios, there's kind of different things that go into this. So you definitely want to include your Winona doctor when you're changing your dose.
Okay, we have another question. Alicia is asking, is it normal to have vivid dreams while taking estrogen and DHEA?
I've had patients that describe that. I think it has to do with the fact that you're getting better quality sleep when you start your meds. So, we have several different sleep cycles. If you've studied sleep or used a sleep tracker, we have, light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. And sometimes when you're having disruptive night sweats and you're having insomnia, you're never getting into those deeper cycles of sleep, and you're never getting that REM sleep as well. So you might have more vivid dreams now because you're sleeping better. So that's a good thing. I don't think it's abnormal or anything to be worried about.
If you're having night terrors, then you can switch your cream to the morning, and that should fix that. But that's usually a progesterone thing, and it's rare. But I have had some patients have really unsettling dreams, and then switching it to the morning can fix that.
I have not had a patient tell me about having night terrors yet. not in 20 years of, yeah,
Really?
that's interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
So when I was in, where were we? I was on a mission trip. I think it was in China, and we were on, what were you on? We were on malaria prophylaxis, and I forget, maybe it was Malarone, where you take it once a week, and it's known to give you like crazy dreams the first night you take it. And I was rooming with a good friend of mine who's also a doc, and we were on the same cycle. So we take the pill at night, and we're like, oh, here come the crazy dreams tonight. So I know those can be really unsettling with the malaria medication. And every now and then, it's pretty unusual. But I've had a few patients have that with progesterone. I've never seen it with estrogen, though.
So Crystal has another question. She says, does the Mirena IUD provide enough progesterone to protect the uterus? She still needs contraception and was considering it.
The Mirena IUD can, especially if you're still within your window of the active part of the Mirena. So, the Mirena is labeled for use for 5 years, and now we have some data to say it can be good for 6 to 7 years. But if you're nearing the end of that window, that progesterone might be expiring, and so it may no longer protect you. The other thing that's important to know that if you are using the Mirena for that uterine protection, if you end up having your IUD removed, you have to let your Winona doc let us know right away, because we'll need to prescribe something alternatively to that. Now, there are some other progesterone embedded IUDs that are out there that are smaller doses of progesterone that I don't know if they would be adequate, but the Mirena is a pretty good dose that can be helpful for that.
I just shared the symptoms tracker. Anybody else? Questions? Don't leave us hanging.
When did we put the symptoms tracker out? I know we were talking about that for a long time. I didn't know we finally got that out. I'm happy.
It's
I'm
out.
excited to hear that. That's great.
We we have a sexual, well, I don't know what we're calling it. We're changing the name. It's like a sexual symptom ebook, I want to say is what it's called. I think we're changing what that's officially called, but also helpful for like issues around relationship things as it pertains to menopause, etc. That I think everybody, sexual health ebook, that's what it is. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. For anyone, and the good thing is, everybody, we have so many free resources for you, so you should definitely look over on our homepage. It's free. You can download it, use it, and it helps. And that's the goal, is to be helpful. We hope that you find it helpful. Judy's typing a question for us, so
yeah, I think that menopause tracker is great, because I've had several patients that after their 3 months, they're like, I don't really think this is working. And then they end up stopping. And then within a month or so, they're writing in their back because they say, oh, I didn't realize how much better I was feeling. But like, if you have something objective like that and you're keeping a symptom diary of your symptoms and you're tracking to see how you're feeling, it gives you a better view over time of what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny because I have a friend who she's getting the pellet, but she was like, I don't think it's really helping. And then she quit it and she was like, oh, damn, it was helping. I said, well, hi, why did you just stop it without checking? She goes, I just didn't think it was really doing that much. I guess it was subtle. I don't know, but yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how they talk people into the pellet. It sounds terrible to me.
I know.
They put a big needle in and inject these things under your skin, and then if you don't like them, you're stuck with them for 4 months before they wear off. So I don't know. It seems pretty scary.
No pellets for me. Judy was just commenting. She says that she received her meds today, and she doesn't have questions for us yet, but she's excited to have the support of the group.
Good.
So I'm just warning you, I just got a battery warning on my laptop, so I may be abruptly.
You might have to check out early. Okay, Dawn has a quick question. She wants to know, is it normal to have more energy and libido than she had before her hysterectomy, that her HRT may be working too well, she says?
Why is that a bad thing? I don't know. I don't think having too good of a libido is ever a negative thing, is it?
Oh, that's super funny. That's not a
And
problem.
especially when you're having, when you have a hysterectomy, depending on the indication that you're having your uterus removed for, a lot of women have a hysterectomy because they're having abnormal bleeding or they're having pain or having issues. And those things can really be really dampen your libido and your sexual drive. And once you eliminate those by removing the organ of problem, sometimes those things naturally get better as well, just because you're not living with those chronic issues anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Libido's back. Who doesn't want that?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
He can't match.
You need to make sure you have a partner that's on board.
You may need a little TRT.
He can't match. He can't match the energy. She says.
That's what battery operated boyfriends are for, right?
That's so funny. Oh gosh. Anybody have any questions? Please add them in the chat.
Was that you that put the little laughing emojis in?
No, I think that's Dawn.
Oh.
Just laughing. I think, what was I just gonna say? No, I think that we don't have another question yet. Dr. Green, tell us, what were you speaking about today? You said you were at a conference?
Oh, I do. I train. There's a implantable birth control device, talking about pellets, but it's not. It's a little rod called Nexplanon, and in order to be able to use it, you have to go through an official FDA training course. And so I'm one of the people that teaches that training course. So I was in an office teaching some doctors and PAs and nurse practitioners how to use this device. So it's one of my other hats I wear. That's we all do more than just Winona. I think we all have a practice of one type or another, and do all kinds of different things. So that was one of the things that I did today.
Awesome. Dr. Kat, were you working today before what you're doing now?
Well, working as mom, pretty much. I was playing chauffeur to my kids most of the day. My oldest son sprayed his ankle a couple weeks back, and so he had physical therapy today and then a follow-up with the orthopedic. And some days I just feel like it's Grand Central Station driving them from point A to point B all the time.
Yep.
So.
Oh, we have a question coming. I feel like we need the Jeopardy theme song to play.
Oh, yeah.
Like suspenseful music. Oh, Dawn says that her hair is thicker and healthier. She wants to know if that's because of the estrogen.
Yeah,
Yes.
most likely. That'll do it.
Yeah, that's true. And conversely, I think you notice that your hair also thins when you don't have it, right? Like starts to just slightly get thinner.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about that before, but anytime you have a sudden change in hormones, whether it be menopause or whether it be postpartum or pregnancy or a stressful event, anything that can affect your hormones, you can get a change in your hair quality. And we like to talk about it because there's a nice little fancy term that we call telogen effluvium, which is basically all of the hair follicles, which are typically on all different timelines, suddenly kind of get reset. And sometimes you can get chunks of hair that can, fall out in the same location because all those hair follicle little clocks kind of get reset together with the stressful event or a hormone change. And this is something temporary. It typically, resolves on its own. But I've had a few patients that when they're starting their HRT, they notice that, but then if they stick it out and they stick with treatment, then once the estrogen really starts showing its benefits, their hair quality does get better. Just like the skin gets better too. Estrogen has so many beneficial effects throughout the entire female body. So many good things that it does, and the hair will get better over time. So I'm glad you're seeing it.
There's estrogen receptors on almost all tissue types. It's amazing how important the hormone is.
Mm-hmm. And especially how, stress will make your hair fall out. That's a crazy thing. Crazy. Dawn says her hair is growing a lot faster. Yeah, it's true. Stress will make your hair fall out. Don't stress. You end up with bald patches. Take it. I used to have it. It's a weird thing. I remember having like super short hair, and I just thought like, well, it's because I have short hair. But I remember my hairdresser was like, oh my gosh, what is happening to your hair? And I was like, I don't know what's happening to it. She was like, you have like some bald patches in here. And I was like, ah, no. The horror. I was like, oh, make it stop. She was like, what happened? I was like, life. I don't know. Yeah. It was a stressful time, I guess. Grad school. It was grad school. Yep.
That'll do it.
Yeah, grad school can be stressful.
Grad school. I blame NYU 1,000%. Okay, Judy has a question. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll see. Oh, she wants to know. Yes, Judy wants to know if we record this, so she missed the first half of the call. Yes, you can. YouTube will have the full replay later, probably by the middle of next week. Maybe early next week if we're really on top of it, but probably sometime next week. And we also, some of the questions that are being asked today, we might excerpt out for like a quick question answer response for social media. So we usually share those in the women's group, and sometimes TikTok, but usually on Instagram and on Dr. Kat's Instagram.
That's right.
Let me just keep plugging your Instagram so you can get some followers.
There we go.
Hello, Dr. Kat OBGYN and Dr. Green. I would love it if you had one. Then we could promote all your podcast episodes that you're both on. So everybody who's here in the chat, you should know that these two are on podcasts regularly. So if you're looking to know more about what they think on a wide variety of menopause topics, you can check out our Winona in the Media page that's coming with all the links to these awesome podcasts that both of our doctors have been on. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And Crystal says she just followed you, Dr. Kat, so yay.
Yeah, awesome.
You got a new follower from the webinar. Dawn would like to know, why do we need to rotate sites for the patches if you're using a patch?
It's mainly because the adhesive, not every patient will experience this, but some patients, their skin can get a little irritated from the adhesive part of it. It's not from the medication itself, but the components of the adhesive. And so, rotating it just kind of gives your skin a little bit of a break so that you're not having that constant, adhesive stuck to that one area of your body. But
yeah, and that's the difference.
Oh, go ahead.
Right, between the patch and the cream. I think the cream, it's much less important to rotate because you don't have the adhesive. And so it's not as irritating to the skin as the patch can be. But people do sometimes develop skin reactions to the adhesives in the patch. It's the glue, basically. So rotating it can help with that.
Okay. Anybody else have some questions? We still have a few minutes. Well, 10 actually, but.
Nope.
How's your computer doing? Oh, there goes Dr. Green.
Oh no, its battery died.
Dr. Green. I'm just so impressed that you both made it on your car. And I know there was a weird thing with the platform today where like the listing for the event wasn't showing up. So anyways.
Right. I'm glad you posted. I'm glad you put the direct link in, because that definitely helped. Because when I finally got into Livestorm and I went to the original link, it basically said it was a draft and there was nothing going on. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm in the right place, aren't I?
Gotta love
so
it.
when you sent me, then it got me right to you guys, which was helpful.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure out what's happening with this platform soon enough. I don't know what was going on today, but there was definitely issues across the board for everybody. So if anybody else has a question, please add it. Otherwise, I'm going to let Dr. Kat drive and we're going to stop early. Otherwise, we can just talk to each other for your entertainment. However, might not be that entertaining.
Well, I mean, does anybody, now we're girls only on the call, does anybody have any other questions that maybe they were afraid to ask earlier, or they just want me to monologue about any particular topic? I don't know.
Yeah, why not? Anyone?
Bueller.
I was trying to ask Dr. Green about the vaginal estrogen cream, because I was basically the question was about how, when you have thin tissue there and it's tearing, like over time, does it sort of help build in, like the longer you use something, are you building up like a resistance? Is it making it better so that
it is making it better? Yeah. And honestly too, the other thing that's important too, not only supplementing with the vaginal estrogen cream is important, but also like using your vagina is important too, right? So if you don't use it, you can lose it. So, having activity in the vagina is important to maintain its health too. Because if you're not putting anything in the vagina can get more narrow and what we call stenotic. And so like for patients that maybe haven't had a partner in a long time and they haven't had any kind of penetrative intercourse whatsoever, whether it be with anything, various fingers, toys, whatever, parts, then the vagina can get actually very narrow and lose its elasticity. So just like when you're exercising, if you don't use the muscles, if you don't move your body becomes stiff and it doesn't respond the way you want it to over time. The vagina is the same. So I encourage people to, go for that high libido and use it as much as possible.
Right. Yep.
There's no reason why in menopause or postmenopause that we should have to give up that very vital part of our life.
Right.
Sexual activity is important in relationships, but also important for your overall health and joy and all that good stuff. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's true. And also a lot of good vibrators out there.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Dawn says her husband is saying no. Ha ha ha. No what, Dawn? What's he saying no to? Oh my gosh.
Is he worried he's going to be replaced by a battery-operated boyfriend?
Battery-operated, coming at you. Yes, on the battery-operated toys. He's too tired. Aw. Well, that's okay. It's okay. I think it's great, though, for everybody out there who is comfortable with their body and does whatever they need to do to, stay active. No sexual shame in menopause, Let's let go of that. Whatever that is for anybody who has it, we should definitely let go.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yep. Well, everybody, friends, any other final questions? Dawn has something else to say. Oh, she's just thanking us that it's fun. It is fun. I like when we have our female chats on the webinar.
I do too.
Well, it's exciting that you're going to do some social media tonight, Dr. Kat.
Yes.
You get to do your first IG Live. That's fun. What's the name of your husband's band?
Well, he's not in any one band. So tonight, actually, what he's doing is playing in a blues jam. So it's like a improv type, like musicians just show up and they just play together and they just jam.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. So it's a way to like network and meet new people and just kind of get out there more. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you play any instruments?
I used to play piano, but I really haven't lately. But, certainly being with him has kind of reawakened that creative part of my brain that's been dormant for a little while, I'd say.
Look out. You know what? A friend of mine got married to a musician. They're both writers, but he's a guitarist and he plays lots of instruments. And now she's singing in his band.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, which is amazing because they're both great writers. But I was like, who would have thought you would be singing in the band? And now it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep. So who knows, Dr. Kat, where it could go.
I don't know if I have a strong enough voice to actually be a singer, but maybe backup. Maybe I could do backup vocals.
That's it. That's it. Or everybody always used to say, just play bass guitar. I used to live with a musician. He'd be like, bass is super easy. Just stand in the back. It's a few notes. Girls love to play bass guitar. I was like, hey. that feels sexist. But I think that's fun. I'm so glad you get to go support your new hubs. It's great.
Thank you.
All right, friends. Well, happy driving. Happy blues listening.
All right. Well, everyone have a good night.
Thanks, Dawn. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys next month. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.